Now, a couple of examples. We're going to look at three pyramids, and the first one we can look at, because it's the most well-known pyramid on Earth, the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's most people may know. Well, there's almost no one who doesn't know about it. The facts and the data are incredible. It's made of 2.5 million blocks, over 6 million tons. It's 481 feet high. Its base is over 13 acres. It's within 1/15 of a degree to true north. It's level to within 3/4 of an inch across its site. The accuracy of its sides to the height and is within 99.98%, and there's incredible relationships between its size and proportions to that of the polar radius. It's an incredible structure, but also beyond those things, we can talk about the technology a little bit more. When it was originally built, it had an outer layer of limestone on it, which was insulating. And we're going to see in a moment how the interior actually conducted and created electricity. Its structure and its shape was tuned to the Earth's vibration that we've talked about before. And there's underground aquifers and water underneath, and there were copper and iron pipes. And also at one point, it's believed there was a gold capstone, which then allowed electricity to be drawn up through it. And there's a lot of theories for this, and we're going to talk about one in a moment, which is very, very strong. And there's again, for another topic, Nikola Tesla created a device to create and send information and energy and communication wirelessly and create free energy within the Earth. And this is called the Wardenclyffe Tower. And there's a very strong link between what the Pyramid of Giza was able to do and the work that Tesla tried and failed to get out. And this is quite well known, the story where he was going to put this out, but of course the commercial interest didn't want that to happen. So that's why we have controlled fossil fuels, and we don't have this energy available to us. So there is a body of work by a fantastic researcher and an engineer called Christopher Dunn, a very advanced engineer, wrote a book called the Giza Power Plant. I'm just going to briefly go over it because this is going to show you the very high level of science that was available within the Egyptian pyramid building tradition, and also, as you said before, from knowledge that was essentially coming from much older traditions. And essentially that is most likely an Atlantean tradition, a tradition where they were inheriting advanced knowledge of all the things we've been talking about in terms of the Earth and energies. So essentially, Christopher Dunn's work showed very, very clearly, and very, very strong hypothesis that the location of the Great Pyramid was in the center of the landmass of the Earth, the very center. It was able to bring up acoustic and vibrational waves that came from the center of the Earth and through underground water to then create a massive piezoelectric effect, which was spoken at before, with thousands of tons of very high 55% quartz granite. So essentially a huge crystal, huge amounts of crystal within this structure. There was then, we just talked about before, a resonance with extremely accurate resonance with the Earth mass and its polar dimensions. So this becomes a highly, highly accurately tuned oscillator of energy. And it's been tested to oscillate at 440 hertz, or the F sharp within the central gallery. Then what happens is this vibrating energy is drawn up through into the center of into its center, into what's known as the King's Chamber, through what are now known as Helmholtz resonators, and then the transformation of this energy into acoustic energy, and then a really phenomenally advanced process of drawing in chemicals, zinc chloride and hydrochloric acid, to create literally to generate hydrogen, and then a process to output this energy as microwave radiation for them to power devices. And Christopher Dunn, as an expert on advanced machining, has also proved that a lot of the construction of the edifices and sculptures and construction walls and foundations have been built to such a high degree that they had to be machined by what we would call lasers. So those don't exist, but the results of those are the proof themselves. So that the actual Giza itself, the Pyramid of Giza, is just incredible artifact and device for generating energy, which no longer works because of a number of reasons. He believed that there was an explosion there. We can see all the things we talked about here. We have this at an incredible high level of technology. Yeah. So, and this is just a more up-to-date piece of work. So rather than from a researcher from the Journal of Applied Physics, where they were starting to recognize, as you can see on the right, the electromagnetic field, these resonances coming up into the Great Pyramid. So, it's taking some time, but actually, conventional science is starting to recognize this very ancient science.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to now the Valley of Pyramids in Bosnia, and in particular the Pyramid of the Sun. And I know, Maria, you've been there, so you can talk about this as with direct experience. Essentially, the Pyramid of the Sun is 220 meters high. To give you some context, that's about 3 times higher than the Great Pyramid we just seen. It's at 45-degree angles and is aligned to north even more accurately than Great Pyramid. So we're now looking at another incredible ancient structure of incredible power. This is the valley. So the Pyramid of the Sun is on the bottom right, and there are other pyramids in the valley. So there in total there's 6 and other ancient structures. So there's a very, very high vibration location. So below the pyramid, and Maria can tell us her experience of this in a moment, I'm sure, there is something called the Ravni Labyrinth. So there is a series of underground tunnels and also water under there, and very, very unique and very powerful healing effects have been recognized within these spaces. And so within, as well as having these chambers and these labyrinth spaces, there are these really incredible artifacts, and these are these forms which look like stone to begin with are actually being tested and are actually man-made. These are man-made structures, 1,000 years old. I mean, I think there was a wood fragment found that was over 34,000 years old under here. So we're looking at very, very ancient artifacts that undoubtedly have come from a very ancient tradition. We're probably looking at Atlantean science that way predates the pyramid structure itself. In these chambers, there's very, very high purity water. There's high vibration plasma orbs that have been photographed, and there's been. I know that Dr. Sam, who's the gentleman here, who's the discoverer of the pyramids, the gentleman with the hat on the left in this photo, has done testing that within the tunnels. They've got up to finding 18,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter. So to give you an understanding, so negative ions is that reading of that negatively charged and beneficial ionic charge within air. So within these spaces, you've got very incredible healing air qualities, and also we've got acoustic spaces with high amounts of quartz and water. And so, Maria, do you want to talk about your experience with these slabs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just to put it into context, this this pyramid is supposed to be built through like in prehistory. So prehistory, we associate that word with the Neanderthals, and that we were supposed to be in caves starting to create fire. And instead, we are seeing nowadays that this technology was also being used. And there are some people like Graham Hancock and other scientists, and well, he's a journalist, but he's making questions about what happened, because we don't know what happened. We have just assumed that there was nothing there because we haven't got the records of it. But instead, these things are showing us that there was technology used by then. And as you were saying, these devices, because they are not really stones, they look like stones, but they are made of clay and they have ports inside, and they are placed exactly over water crossings, which are the vortices that you were mentioning. And as you were talking about the piezoelectric effect, they charge the tunnels that are full of air, of negative ions, and they actually generate an electric movement through that movement of the air in the tunnels. So they're actually a circuit, and they are used to actually power the pyramid, which is amazing. But when you enter there, because you can go and visit it, I mean, I recommend everyone to go. I organize these trips to go there. So if you're interested, you can contact me to go. But you can go on your own and actually enter those tunnels. And you feel like your body can relax. There's a different state of being. They also have documented better healing effects of that space for blood pressure, for sugar issues, for heart issues, for circulation issues, for a lot of issues. And it's an amazing healing space because you just enter and the radiation reduces. The good effects of the ions and the Vovis amount that is measured there is incredible. You can enter there and you feel like your whole body relaxes. So it's an amazing place to visit. It's an amazing place to lay down, meditate, and let your body do its work, which is regenerate itself. And when you go, because you will hear a lot of controversy about this place, like it's not a real pyramid, like this guy's making it all up. When you go there, you realize that it's impossible that this is made by these people that are excavating, because there's such an amount of tunnels that you can see when you go that they're discovering and actually emptying from the rubble that was used to close them down. So what they've discovered is that these pyramids were created or built 30,000 years ago or older, as you were saying, 34,500 years ago. And then these tunnels were closed 5,000 years ago. Egypt, this civilization that is our first, let's say, non-prehistoric civilization that we have records of, was about 5,000 years ago. So about that time, all of these things were closed. So who closed it? Why did they close it? Those are questions that are very interesting. We're not saying what happened. We're asking, what is it? Because something happened. So if you want to go there, if you want to know it by yourself, if you want to check it, please go. It's in Visoko. It's an amazing place. And this man, Dr. Samin Osmanagic, that you can find in another interview in this channel, he's doing an amazing work documenting everything. Because as you were saying, these things are pretty new, and he's been told to be a pseudo-archaeologist, and he's been questioned. So he's documenting everything just to have proof of what he's saying. So that's an amazing thing. This is one site that archaeologically it's public, so he's sharing everything that they find there. It's not controlled by the let's say the broadcasted knowledge that we have about history and about archaeology. So it's really a very amazing place to get to know what's going on. So thank you, Mark, for bringing this up, because I think it's an amazing place. We're going to go there in September to actually, as you were saying, with the solstices and the equinoxes and the alignments with certain places, these places activate. So we're going to be there in September, but we'll go more often. So if you're interested in contacting, please do so.
Yeah, I can't wait to go.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to go too. Again, I've been already twice, and it's an amazing place, definitely.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think we've got another slide. Yeah, this is this is an incredible topic. There's one of these structures forms has been found with symbols on them, and so what we're looking at is very ancient. What's been recognized by one researcher as Paleo Sanskrit, very ancient Sanskrit. I think this is quite remarkable to have found here, but these symbols are found in healing sites all over the world. And this last slide, this actually is this is outside the pyramid as well, in the park. So there's have you been to this park, Maria, with these structures?
Yeah, it's an amazing park that they're building, because these tunnels are not precisely they didn't discover this entrance to the tunnels precisely underneath the pyramid, because they couldn't access, because the government didn't allow them to excavate. So they could start excavating in another plot of land, which is a little bit further away. They bought the plot of land, they are excavating there, and they're entering the tunnels that way. And they have created this park in that access. So when you go to the tunnels, you can actually visit the park. And they are building with sacred geometry, like little stone circles, and there are statues, and it's a place for art, for contemplation, for meditation, for doing also concerts. And so there's a lot of activities that are going there. And I love the view that Samir Osmanagic is sharing with the world, because as you are saying, it's a very similar project to Earthlight in a way. It's not based on food, but it's based on this spiritual awareness. They say that these pyramids can change our life in many ways, building a better health, building a better awareness, building, as you're going to talk about, better food, free energy. So they're doing this site like a place to go there and really feel what happens around and inside the pyramids. So I recommend to go there to the park, and also it's a beautiful place.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're just going to finish now on the last pyramid of the group, and this may be one that some of your people might not know about. In the 1990s, a Russian group headed by Dr. Golod created a series of pyramids, not just one, but many of these pyramids. This is the largest, 44 meters high, made with no metal, made of carbon fiber, a very, very particular angle, and this pyramid has had incredible results. When it was built, it created a half a kilometer wide by 120 kilometer high ionizing energy beam, which corrected atmospheric imbalances, was seen on Russian radar, and it had many, many effects. The Russians have been very, very advanced for decades, since the 60s, looking at very subtle energetic effects. All things we've been talking about in today's discussion. They've been in this for since the 60s, and the Russians sent researchers and scientists from all the different Russian scientific institutions, military, medical, agricultural, and all the tests on this particular pyramid and the other pyramids have had the same results. Interesting, they built these in Ukraine as well. One of the things they found is that in the winter, when it was minus 17 degrees, the water in the center of this pyramid did not freeze. And as soon as they moved it, it froze. And then they've done many tests with the benefits of this pyramid, drinking water, normalized the gastrointestinal tract, stabilized the balance of the body. The meditation they tested. So agricultural seeds placed in the pyramid showed a 30 to 100% increase in germination, and you can see it at the moment because I've actually replicated those tests. The immune systems were increased. There was an amazing experiment where they charged salt and pepper in the pyramid, and then put that salt and pepper into the food in some Russian jails, and then the violence stopped just because of the vibrational quality that had been added into the salt and pepper from just by being placed in the pyramid. And so many effects of improved health and immune responses. And there was other agricultural effects as well. They built one of these pyramids near an oil field, and the oil became more viscous. It flowed better, and they got 30% more oil out of the ground. So really quite amazing results with this. And so what I've actually been doing is we've actually been experimenting at Earthlight with these. I'll show you in a second. And this actually is this is also the same proportion pyramid, and this is actually in Ecuador. This is quite new. This has been built with bamboo, and so very, very strong. So again, no metal. So it's interesting that we're basically, none of the pyramids are seen. We've got metal. No, we're dealing with stone, for carbon fiber, and bamboo. So it's important to recognize that putting metal inside these pyramids basically has been recognized by all these different modern researchers and the builders as metal as being a problem. Small amounts of copper can be used for conductance, but the structures are not made with metal.